Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this week on Morning Tea with Jeffrey. Today we have an interesting thought. It's a piggyback of a podcast, a video we did not too long ago. But I want to push it a step further, maybe 5 steps further, if I may. So, first of all, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for helping us with feedback and audience. And I ask that you like our and follow our company page on LinkedIn, as well as on help us get the word out on what we're doing. We think we have a great message, a great value proposition, and we ask that you support us. Help us get the word out. And so what we do here at Service Management Leadership is different than most organizations, and I'll get into that in a minute. So here's my big thought. And I think it's a very unique thought. I think that the way I look at this is very different than most people. I even bounced this off of somebody I respect this week, and it's a unique thought. This is not being talked about in today's world. I wish it was. All right, here it is. With all of that, much ado, we are now soon going to be coming out of this pandemic and economic times. And organizations are going to want to have digital transformation initiatives, efforts, projects, programs to be able to accelerate the outcomes desired. That should be no surprise to anyone. We are going to come out of this with leadership wanting different organizational outcomes. Should be no secret, no surprise to you. But the organizations that come out of this and are successful, those leaders who are successful, they're going to have 3 things. They're going to be able to define where they're going. They're going to be able to accelerate those outcomes. And 3, they're going to be able to rid themselves of everything that doesn't align with where they're going. I want to tell stories. I enjoy telling stories. Here's a couple stories just to help you think about this. And I voiced this a little bit on LinkedIn, and I just think that having this in a video form, on a podcast form, really will help consolidate the thought. So if you think about if you've ever put together a Pinewood Derby car, you know that having extra weight helps it go down. I even was part of a corporate executive team. This was our how do we work better as a team? You get paired up and you do this. And I was shocked that most people did not realize that the key to making those work is the more weight in the back pushes it down. Not a hard concept, but I was surprised. And if you think about the difference between that, so if you think about weight being pushed down to create velocity into an organization, that's how our IT organizations have been the last 20 years. A leader, senior leader, is going to say, I want X to happen. They're going to push it down with velocity. And the speed that it goes down to the lower levels is going to determine your success. We all have experienced that, right? But we're in a new day. We have dawned a new day. And so we have things that we have to consider. Think about everything that goes fast. Rocket ship, airplane, race car. They have different things in common, but they just have a few that you can translate easily into the world of IT. Every part in an airplane has certain standards that it must hit. For that airplane to go fast, I mean very fast, and be able to be nimble in the air, every part has to meet certain standards. When a part is replaced, the new part has to have standards. And then even when a plane comes out of commission, it has to go through certain time frame of being of hours in the air before it can be released and have people on it. The same is for, think about a race car. If you're a NASCAR fan or a Formula One fan, the things that really get down to it, if you know very much about it, and there are many of you that may know much more than I do, and I'm okay with that. There is control on how much each part weighs and the ability for each part. Some of that control is thought of as governance because you have to have so much weight, you can't be below this, you have to have a fin that meets this spec, but it can't be too much, all of that. And if you think about that race car thought, think about this. Think about it in this way, please. It's that race car is trying to weigh as little as possible. Most of those standards are, how thin can we make the metal? How thin can we do this and that? Because every ounce, every 3 ounces, 5 ounces, 7 ounces creates weight, which creates drag. It means that we cannot be as fast, we cannot be as nimble as we would like to be. Spaceships and rocket ships are the same way. But here's the thought. Now let's apply this to IT, if I may. If you want to go fast, you have to do a few things. So first we have to, and I'm using my hands if you're just listening, we have to establish up at the top, this is where we're going. These are our strategic objectives of what we want accomplished. And those must align to the corporate level and roll up from there. But if we know our strategic objectives, everything we do must align to those. Please let me know if you disagree. But you should not be doing anything, and I mean anything, that doesn't align with where your organization wants to go from a strategic point of view. If you are wanting to do X, Y, and Z and accomplish everything that goes with that, and you have something that's an R, just making it up, and it doesn't contribute to where you want to go, that is considered technical debt from my point of view. So that could be code, that could be we are investing in Power BI, so now all these other BI tools, they're technical debt because we as an organization are pushing the ability to have Power BI. Fine. But you now have to address all those other BI tools, the infrastructure that they rely on, those contracts, those people that support them. And the whole point of getting rid of that technical debt, that waste, is to reassign those resources, technology, people, process, those resources into things that create the strategic vision. Does that make sense? If we are doing something that is not contributing to that, we need to reassign those resources to something that is. That's the only way we're going to get acceleration of those outcomes. And that's what I want you to think through. How do I accelerate these outcomes? So it's going to be your software asset management, your hardware asset management. It's going to be how well your CMDB and your ITSM processes, how efficient are they? Let's talk about this a little further. If you want to go super fast, as fast as you've ever been or more, and you want the ability to have a little bit of nimbleness because you're not waterfall, you want to consider yourselves agile. You want to be able to, like, if we're going this direction, one thing 2020 has taught us that we may need to alter course because who knows what the future brings. That's fine. But to be able to go fast and nimble means you have to have guardrails. And for those of us in the service management world, that's service management acting as governance, acting as guardrails, because that governance, that service management allows us to understand our SLAs and our metrics, allows us to have consistent outcomes through processes and practices. It allows us to reassign and calibrate what we're doing and reassign those resources to what is strategic for us. But lastly, it allows us to have transparency. And the one thing service management does for all parties is produce transparency for the stakeholders. And if you're going super fast, faster than you ever have, you need that transparency. You need the ability to understand cost, hours, allocation of resources, and to reassign those. So what I want to encourage you to do is the ability to move fast through service management, because those guardrails allow you to not get hurt by bumping either side. And so if you think about race cars, they go very fast. And if you have a bunch of race cars on a track, think of it as your technology department. You have all these services or products, and they're going very fast. There's trust in the other drivers. There's trust that the controls thresholds will work and will hold. Think about tires and all those other thresholds. But there's also trust that if we venture off course, if we falter, that the wall or those big pools of tires, they will keep us from getting hurt. So this governance, these controls are mechanisms to allow you to go faster and even faster, and then measure, did we really go faster or not? But it allows you to go faster, faster, faster. And so we've talked about how do we accelerate using service management as guardrails. We've talked about reallocating resources from technical debt to the initiatives that are the most strategic. And lastly, I want to talk about the organizational aspects. You may or may not have the personnel to be able to pull this off. You may or may not have the leadership to pull this off. So be thinking, like everything else with culture, how can we do this? And so we at Service Management Leadership, we like to think that we can help. And one other complexity, well, let's just make it two complexities in this thought process. One is the role of information security, to know that everything in the environment has been onboarded appropriately. That's a huge value. And the second piece is the ability for us to know and quantify everything that's going on. We have to be able to do that if we're going to go fast, so we know which areas to invest in. Because think about it this way, and this has been a common thought for me in all my writings and my videos and my podcasts, is that technology is spreading throughout the enterprise. And so what we thought of as IT asset management may be enterprise asset management. And so we need to take that enterprise view of governance for these technology assets, which then gets into the technical debt, reassigning those and realigning those resources for the strategic piece that we spoke of. So think of how all these pieces of the puzzle fit together, and how you can use service management to accelerate those outcomes and allow you to go faster. It allows you to go faster, allows you to have guardrails, and it allows you to measure. And so we at Service Management Leadership would love to help your organization through this time as you're coming out of this pandemic and you want to accelerate. Please look for me on LinkedIn. Feel free to email me. Let me know how we can help you accelerate these outcomes, because the difference for you leaders, the difference between organizations that are successful and the ones that aren't, will be how quickly do we shift our resources to align with where we're wanting to go, those strategic objectives. Many organizations will get bogged down, will get pulled down by this sunk cost theory of, well, we invested 200 grand. We invested 2 million in this project last year. It was derailed by the COVID and the pandemic. My answer would be, so what? Because now we are living in a new world with new strategic vision, new variables, new constraints. You must adapt and reassign, realign all of your resources to your strategic level. And so think about it in that world, in that lens. This is Jeffrey T. Fertiller. Thank you for being a part of what we're doing. I ask that you reach out to me if service management leadership can help you in your service management, your asset management, or your business continuity needs, how we can help you achieve the goals and objectives that you have for your organization. Thank you once again for being a part of what we're doing, and I hope you have a great, great day.